Hey, what's going on? I am live again with
The
another
bullet always comes when you're not moving.
M3 gaming video. So, I am in the last preparations
me,
for the next
we know the
season
score.
of
If you
Destiny
spend
2, which I
all
think
your time
launches
debating
tomorrow.
what's good, bad,
Usually when
You're
a
up
new season
there.
launches, it's a little bit of chaos. Like, I don't expect to actually be able to get into the game. So, like, prior to the launch of a new season, I clear out my vault and I load up some weapons on my different characters, depending, try to spread them out so that I have space to store new items that drop. Because usually at the beginning of the season, you're not 100% sure if what you're picking up is any good. So you end up holding on to a lot of things that you're later going to delete. So you need the space to do that so that when you're going to jump into a new activity, you're not shifting things around and everything. So I did a lot of this last night, and I swapped characters and did a whole bunch of stuff for that. And I did get a whole page of my vault cleared, 50 slots. And I have a page, close to a page here of bounties. I like to have that. Like, you get a little boost to your XP at the beginning of the next season from this season. I don't go crazy and I don't go way out of my way to do it because that's crazy making. But here I am. I'm trying out this sidearm that dropped when I was picking up engrams from the gunsmith. And it was because I just deleted a sidearm that had, I can't remember what the first perk, I think it was surplus osmosis. This one has pugilist osmosis. It's not that great. But I didn't think surplus went well with osmosis because you have to throw the grenade to activate it, so you're automatically
All right.
going to have
Let's see
less
what we've got.
stacks of.
Cabal on the field.
So pugilist might be better because I think you get increased.
That's not
benefits
fat
when
on
you
the
get a
cabal.
melee kill.
It's muscle. Real tough to chew through.
Um,
Careful.
and I'm using Vesper Radius. That's not really why.
Transmat Pride.
This is a silly build.
Give me those moots, and I'll make you rich, sister. I promise.
Using a rip.
Giving it up today. Hostile incoming at the depot. Incoming at the ghost. You just dropped a taken on the other side. Hope you're proud. I am. Portal's ready. Allies headed to the other side. Hostiles incoming at the capital.
Yeah, I like
Your
this,
allies down, but
Vesper
they managed
Cold
to
Heart.
hit.
Because every time you full hard, I'm going to get some of this from not only from the weapon itself, but from my stepfather. And then by being in the middle of different
and moats. Ice the blockers. I spot a high-value target. Give them hell. Watch your back. Invader incoming. Woo! High-value target is down. Portals up. Enemy invader down.
Yeah.
You can relax. Allies headed to the other
Let's do
side.
it.
Almost time for a primeval.
I
Fill that
basically
bank
put
up.
myself out there to be
You
killed
summoned
by
a
the
primeval.
invader.
Kill us,
Because I
and the
just
win is
deposited
yours.
my vote. And I don't know why people don't understand that the basic strategy. Like they
Line 'em up, knock 'em down. Primeval compromise. Take it out. Your invader's back. With 3 guardians down. Glad they're on your side. You're being invaded. Find them before they find you. Invader's gone. Get him next time. Envoy's taking a dirt nap. Primeval time. Invader on the field. Careful. Invader's out. Get him next time. Opposing team got a primeval. Kill yours now. The lead's yours. Envoy's taking a dirt nap. Primeval time. Allies invading the other side. Invader's here. Brace yourself. Your invader's dead. Sending him back. Envoy's in the dirt. Now kill the big guy.
Almost got a
Enemy invader down. Hey, you can't blame him for trying. The lead's yours.
Why? Why is there a barrier coming up like that? Times again?
Allies headed to the other side.
Why is
Convoys 8. Now devour that primeval. Allies down. Pulling him back. Watch your back. Invader incoming. That primeval's nearly dead. You made that look simple.
that was like at least 2 rounds too many. That's one of the reasons why people don't like Gambit. Is
Oh, smokes. Packed
like
tight,
typically after
shiny.
3
You're getting
damage
paid
phases,
today.
you can do enough damage to kill it without him going immune. But you know, there you go. So let me talk a little bit about what I'm doing for M3 since I'm here. This is like one of the reasons I do the live stream just to organize my thoughts, and if I really need to, I can go back and listen to it. But yeah, what I'm looking at is the publishing of the M3 Bearcast. It was a conversation with Carlos about control, and then we went into a story that he already gave because this was recorded a few weeks ago. He was working on a spoken word performance about interracial dating and sort of the meanings and maybe less argued points about why people find what they find attractive, because that's one of the things that we had talked about for a minute about sort of how people can get in their feelings about black men who date exclusively white men, even if they've never said anything negative about black men in particular, or the or just the rationale is assumed in certain cases. And the funny thing is, of course, 99% of the time they're not wrong. But I know that making assumptions ultimately means that you're going to make wrong assumptions, right? If you don't know or ask. And the thing I've always said about people who feel strongly about their racial preferences in dating,
if you catch Vex instead of kill him, you could double the city's power easy.
Just you don't have to argue why you only like white
Transmat. Let's hunt some hostiles, sister. Bring their moats to the bank.
As to why black men ain't shit, that's when you really deserve to be dragged because nobody asked for your opinion on that, I'm really glad I deleted
incoming wave at the drill.
It does not slap anywhere near as strong as this side on its face level.
Hostiles incoming at the base.
From last night, live stream.
Sending medium block.
He was having some technical difficulties, so I was glad I got amazing, good.
Portals ready.
Bringing a show every week. It's
Your
amazing,
allies
dude,
invading
this is
the
hard
other
work, I
side.
know. It's definitely a labor of love. Through difficult internet issues, and still managed to make a good show. That's fine.
Hostiles inbound. Set.
It didn't shake him out. Loved it. And one of the things we talked about at the end, though, that I thought about is some of the
high value
ripple
target
effects
identified.
of
Get him.
this AI
Your allies back with
revolution
one
that's
chip.
happening. And sometimes the small things we get. So the thing that got me was about, I can't remember if it was
Moat drained. The blockers must die, sister. You're being invaded. Find them before they find you. Hey, your team has enough to pull the Primeval. Incoming wave at the drill. Enemy invader down. Nice.
Yeah, so it always reminded me of that was a great elevator. Something else.
Portals up. You send a large rocket to the other side. Vanguard, Prime Eagle's up. Target the envoys first.
Vesper was never really
Vader
always one
inbound.
of my favorites, simply because of this format, which is good.
Enemy invaded down. Nice. ODT's got a Prime Eagle. Kill yours now. Prime Eagle compromised. Take it out. The lead's yours. Allies headed to the other side. Your allies down, but they scored 2 kills. Not bad. Envoys terminate. Now, bring the house down. Vader inbound. The enemy team's about to win this. Get moving. Envoys 8. Now devour that Prime Eagle. Vader's gone. Get him next time. Allies invaded. That Prime Eagle's nearly dead. Yes, ma'am. That's what I call hunting. Where'd you learn to shoot like that? If you're
That
ever
was a
looking
close
to
one.
make extra glimmer,
And fun.
come
That was
find
fun.
me.
I'm so surprised the Vesper's any good. Yeah. So the conversation though was about some of like the unintended consequences of AI and algorithms. Talked about Netflix and how they make money off of our selections. You know, like when you go into a Netflix menu, the thumbnails are actually customized to you based on your preferences. And they actually use thumbnails to make money by basically categorizing different groups of people into pools to be influenced, right? They're really just trying to see like the limits of marketing, you know, and figure out like which which images are most appealing to more people, right? And that data can be sold to marketers who are really trying to figure out like, how do we want our movie poster to look, you know? And you know, there's this whole archetype that you can find within certain movie poster types, you know, like the big head thing. Like a lot of people will criticize it, but like, you know, being able to see all the faces of the people in the movie gets people to see the movie. You know, like at what point, you know, does the criticism become, I don't know. I understand the criticism, right? I get it, because it's the same thing over and over again. You'll see movie posters that fit a certain theme. Once it's pointed out the different themes of these posters, you'll always see them when they come up. And it feels lazy, and you're like, oh, this is dumb. But the reason they do it is because it works. I'll give you an example of just, you know, one of those psychological
Enough
hacks
fooling
that
around. Hi.
retailers
Bring
had
us
learned a long time ago, which is, you know, if something costs $7,000, you're
If
going
you
to
see
sell
one
more
hive
of it.
soldier, 100
If it
more are
costs
waiting for you that you don't see.
$699.99. Why? Why does it's a penny less?
Hold on to your ghost.
Because we put
Give me those
7,000 in a
moves,
different
and I'll make
category
you
in our
rich,
brain
sister.
I promise.
Then 699. You know what I mean? So
Hostiles incoming at command.
it's not ready.
Incoming hostiles at the ring. Large blockers set. Portals ready. Allies headed to the other side.
Yeah, they're gonna nerf us.
Hostiles incoming in the burrow. Woo! Your invaders back. And they took out the whole team. High-value target is on the field. Hunt it down. Hit some rounds.
I mean, yeah, not only can you like run super fast, it's kind of important.
High-value target destroyed. Get those moats to the bank. It's time for a prime easy.
How many different ways?
Allies headed to the other side. Portals ready. Prime Eagles up. Target the envoys first.
Getting
Envoys in the dirt. Now kill the big guy. Your invaders back with 2 kills. Invader on the field. Careful. Enemy invader down. Nice.
I just fucked up there. I got caught up on that.
Envoys 8. Now devour that prime evil. Envoys taking the dirt next. Prime evil. Invader on the field. Careful. Yes, man. That's what I call hunting.
I didn't think it was that good.
Nice work. They're going to talk about
yeah.
that fight all the way
Cold-hearted.
over in the
Reveals
Tangled
all your
Shore
abilities so
as soon as
fast.
it tells.
probably use that. What was it? Blind? I don't know. Vesper also blinds enemies if you're unarmed. Good God, I remember. I saw someone testing Vesper Radius, and I try not to be too critical of people, but she was doing the basic thing where she goes on to Carl. Where do we get these names of these enemies? they called one Greg and another one Carl. But Carl is the Lost Sector boss of Nessus, and she, did the Vesper, the Radius up against it to see, what kind of damage it was doing. And yeah, the damage is not great, but it's not for those enemies. It's really for, rank and tier.
Rohan always said battles are won with. Check this out.
And for that, it does fairly well. Right? It does really well. Keeps you alive, kills a lot of them fairly quickly. It keeps your rift free of enemies because it pushes them back. So there's always multiple ways to see something. And I don't want to necessarily fault people when they're only looking at something in one way. Like this content creator was looking at it in the terms of how much damage can it do. And from that perspective, Vesper Radius is bullshit. It's like it barely tickles. But if I'm playing Gambit and I'm like, I gotta kill 30 enemies in X amount of time, you run right up into the middle of a bunch of low tier ads, pop your rift. All of them die instantly, and the ones that don't die are blinded by the explosion, right? And you pull out the Cold Heart, basically, and target a major, and you're going to get your rift back, not only from Vesper, because Vesper gives you your rift back when you're surrounded by enemies. You just ran into a bunch of enemies. Thus, you're going to get some energy back from that. But then the Cold Heart itself creates ionic traces, which gives you a good chunk of your rift back, like maybe 20% per ionic trace. And so if you target a large enemy, you're likely to get at least 2 ionic traces. So there you go. I mean, like, you got half your rift back. And of course you have your Arc Soul just dealing pretty decent damage on top of all that. So anyway, it was pretty fun and easy. My kind of fun. Surprised at how good that was. Let's go back to the tower. There's something else that was on my mind. It had to do with the upcoming conversation that I had with Carlos that's going to be dropping. And it's about my concerns about the election, right? Going forward, I'm probably going to want to limit the amount of political coverage that I watch. I want to stay informed, but I think being aware of so many existential problems is not helpful, especially when, I already have a plan to vote. I'm definitely going to do that, and probably going to do at least some volunteering. Voter registration seems like a good idea, and I'll just find out what the Biden campaign is doing in Georgia. Just kind of look and see if there's anything that I find interesting and would like to do. So I'm not gonna make myself miserable for it. Like that's the whole point of me like doing something, volunteering, knowing that I'm doing everything that I can, voting myself and trying to get other people to vote who, I'm assuming would also be Democratic. But yeah, I'm hoping that I have the wherewithal to ignore most of what is going to be said during the election, because I can tell you my hyper attention to the Mueller investigation in particular was super unhealthy, and when Trump just basically got away with his crimes, and even though he was impeached, he was acquitted. That fucked with my head. It did. I was like, there's no justice. There's no justice in the world. Everything is shit. That could be mainly due to the fact that I was just overpaying attention and to like expecting something that I should not have. I mean, obviously, it's I'm kind of going into it now that I don't think Donald Trump will ever actually see the inside of a jail cell. But with these other 18 defendants, there's likely to be at least allocutions where people read aloud from the people who committed the conspiracy. I haven't read this most recent indictment, but I think I will. I just got a message from a podcast that I listen to that they're doing an audio version of the indictment. If I go on their feed, I can download it and listen to it, which would go a lot further than reading it on text. But yeah, it's from my understanding, it's a lot more how do you say it? It's a lot. Well, yeah, it's a lot. That's one way to say it. It's definitely a lot. There are a lot of defendants. There are a lot of different charges. I really find it fascinating the way like you build a RICO case amongst all these different actions that may or may not be illegal, and they're telling, right? Like one of the first telling details of the conspiracy to overturn the election was the drafting of a speech 4 days before the election in which Donald Trump intended to claim that the election had been stolen, and he had specific he has specific examples as in swing states that voter fraud had occurred when the election hasn't even occurred yet. Like he was already planning on saying it was going to be rigged. He was saying it ahead of time. Like it's so telegraphed. I don't understand this George Costanza defense. Like it's not a lie if you believe it defense. Like what are you talking about? Yeah. Anyhow. So crazy. So that is the kind of shit I have to ignore in an active way because I could go down that hole and when and if he gets acquitted or pardoned or whatever the fuck. I'm not gonna spiral over that shit, thinking that the world is unfair, which I know it's unfair. I'm just saying, like, I don't need to micro-examine examples of how the privileged get away with whatever. I've heard someone say this was so fucked up. It said now that Trump has been indicted in Georgia, He's been indicted more times than he's had consensual sex. It's a girl like, oh god, it's horrible. But yeah. he's the worst. Let me see what this says. Oh yeah. Stasis. Yeah, I might go to Mia Luna and fuck around a little bit. Check the tower again. But I do feel comfortable not hoarding bounties, really. Yeah. Instead of that, I might just go to the Last Wish and open the chests. Actually, kind of hungry though. Just want to make sure I can open them before reset. I thought about loading up my Postmaster with prisms, but I don't care too much. Last Wish is the raid this week too. That's funny. Maybe I'll actually start running the raid again. I don't know. I have the seal for it, so like I can put it on and maybe find a team fairly easy. But I am out of practice, and I don't know. Just gonna go and see if I can. I did get a. I think I did one of those consumables on the pulse rifle. I think that is the best primary in this set. I would say Transfiguration, but the pulse rifle had rangefinder and kinetic trimmers, but rangefinder is getting a serious nerf. In fact, it should just be removed from the game, because they're decoupling the zoom stat and range. I guess the zoom will still help with other things, but Yeah, I don't know. Seems like a dead perk now. Because the other things that it boosts like don't seem that significant to me. I don't know. Maybe that's something people have to test out. Yeah, one of the reasons I don't like running this is just it takes so long to put in the code. And a lot of people just skip it, even though it's fairly easy to do. It feels like it takes forever. So my thing is I want these weapons. So I'll just talk to myself for a little while while I figure this out. Another thing I found interesting today on the news was the response to the fires in Hawaii. President Biden is heading there now, and it's just interesting how people need to hear you say that you're helping, maybe as much as you actually help. Because I think Biden was fairly quiet about the recovery, and he wasn't like strutting, doing that whole thing where you're performing relief efforts, but they're just photo ops. And this is another example of how we'll criticize the fakeness of those photo ops, but then if they don't do the photo ops, they do suffer politically. Like that's what's happening right now with Biden. He decided to be a grown up and not, get in the way of people who are actually helping, and he's going to pay a cost for that. And it's part of our dual nature as humans that like we understand certain things rationally, but how's that quote go? Like you may not remember what someone did, but you remember how they made you feel, And even if how they made you feel was a calculated manipulation, and that they're manipulating you because, it's part of the tactics of politics, people still require it. They do. We still need you to perform these acts of, performative empathy, and I am jaded about that a lot, but I also kind of get it, because like I said, you will remember how someone makes you feel, and if you're a skilled politician, you know how to do this. I think Biden is actually really good at that. Very good at it. But I think he was trying to, get out of the way. Yeah. I don't know. At the end of the day, it might not matter. But I just find it interesting how we criticize people for the very thing that we ask for, basically. Yeah. The thing that we need and want, they do it, and we're like, what a pussy. Like, wow, okay. But such is life. Another one that was interesting in there had to do with the algorithms reading brainwaves. So they put some people under an MRI, and they played a song. I think it was some Pink Floyd. It was a soft rock track, and they used the images. They played the music while someone was in an MRI, and they recorded the brain waves of the participants in the MRI. And using just the images, they recreated the song. And it's close. Like you can't hear the words, you can hear the notes, and it sounds muffled, but it's clearly that song. It's in. We would be able to recognize it as that song. And this was the first time that we basically can use an MRI to read your mind, basically. So think of those sort of implications. They, of course, start with the good ones, which is this could be a great help for people who have profound disabilities in speech. There could be a machine that you strap to your head that reads your brainwaves and interprets things that you would like to say, but your vocal cords would not be able to, whatever it may be. But then, of course, there's the idea of like you are accused of a crime and they strap a machine to your head and ask you questions and start listening to what you're saying in your head. Seems like a good idea, actually. I mean, if you got a bunch of crimes to solve, seems like a good idea. But of course, there's so many abuse. So much possibility for abuse there. I don't know why I'm killing these guys. I have to wipe so I can. I actually don't have to, but it's about to be done. I'm like, whatever. Let's kill some. I'm trying to think which subclass would be best next season. I have no idea. But I think I'm gonna miss the ARC. I did find a scout rifle with 4 times the charm focus fury. It's a stasis rapid fire scout. But yeah, I mean that could be good. With that perk. The other one I have is the kinetic. It's rapid hit frenzy. I mean, that would just probably be straight up better, even though it doesn't have the field tested perk that I would really like in that slot. I think it's going to work just fine. Then I got one with, was it surplus osmosis or? I think so. Which I was just talking about how that's a shitty perk combination because you lose 1 stack of surplus. I just slipped and died. All right. You lose 1 stack of surplus when you throw your grenade to get osmosis to proc. So, like on paper, it's not the best, but I play with it a little bit. It's not bad. I do hate losing that stack, but that's it's okay. And the reasons why you would want an osmosis weapon typically is that you're going to get a damage bonus for switching elements. but also the fact that you could possibly oh, that's pretty good. You could possibly get some more energy regen from it. So the question is, I want to do this thing right here. I have Spoils of Conquest? I didn't even realize that. Yeah. It's even worse. I haven't done raids in forever. Okay, so maybe I'm not in such a rush anymore to get these weapons. So, on that note, I think I'm going to end the live stream. I want to again remind you, I have a live stream coming up this Wednesday. I think I'm going to be having some conversations about masculinity. I got a few videos. One is on what do you mean by masculinity, or do you just mean an absence of femininity? And when someone says they prefer a masculine person, are they just saying, I have a heavy dispreference for femininity? Because the fact is, I think most gay men have some combination of the two. And if femininity doesn't bother you, then you just kind of are attracted to masculine men. It's not a thing you need to advertise. I don't know. We'll talk about it. And I had a funny anecdote from pop culture talking about musicals and fighting movies and how they're basically the same thing. But also, like, sometimes there are these products that come out for men that have been traditionally feminine. So, like, body wash is a good example. Like, body wash is typically for women, and then they made male versions of it, and like the colors and the scents that they used to try to be masculine, it's kind of interesting. And then I think the funniest for me was like basically baby wipes for guys, and they call them dude wipes. I was like, what? You can just go get some baby wipes. Like, you don't need, but apparently, of course, it's an exact example of how, like, they called them dude wipes because they knew if you made it super masculine, you could do that. They kind of did that with Diet Coke. If you didn't realize, like, Diet Coke became associated with women, so they made Coke Zero, and they used, dark, bold colors to try to appeal to men. Anyway, we'll talk about it Wednesday. I'm going to enjoy that. And of course, I'll probably be back again on the M3 Gaming channel. Just, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, and you'll know when I go live. So far, I haven't been scheduling them. I try to do about 2 a day. So I'll see you again today if I have time. All right. And I will catch you all on the flip side. Peace.